So first of all, we are going to discuss the first fat soluble vitamin, which is vitamin A. Vitamin A and its different forms are also known as the retinoids. This is a family of molecules that are related to dietary retinol, and they are essential for different types of things like vision, reproduction, growth and maintenance, and etc. Here we are going to discuss the dietary sources of vitamin. First of all, the forms of vitamin A, then dietary sources of vitamin A, the recommended dietary allowances, the mechanism of action, the functions, its deficiency disorders, and ultimately its toxicity, which is also known as hypervitaminosis. So, vitamin A, as I already told you, is a collective term for several related biologically active molecules. This term retinoids, it includes both the natural and the synthetic forms of vitamin A. The first form is retinol. It is a primary alcohol containing a beta ion ring with an unsaturated side chain. Retinol is usually the vitamin A that is found in animal tissues, and it is found as a retinyl ester. That means it is found with an unsaturated fatty acid chain. Whenever we use the word esterification, we know that it means the thing that we are talking about is attached to a fatty acid. So retinol is the first form. The second form is retinal. This is the aldehyde derived from the oxidation of retinol. So when we oxidize retinol, we can get retinal. Retinal and retinol, they can be readily interconverted. Okay, so that means if you want to change retinal to retinol, you can do reduction. And when you want to change retinol to retinal, you can do oxidation. Now we will see if we oxidize retinal, what do we get? This is the third form, which is the acid derived from the oxidation of retinal. So retinoic acid is not able to be reduced in the body. Okay, so therefore this cannot give rise to retinal or retinol, but retinol can be oxidized to retinal. Retinal, when oxidized, can give you retinoic acid. Retinal can be reduced to retinol, but retinoic acid cannot be converted to retinal or retinol. The fourth form is the beta carotene form, which is made up of two molecules of retinal. When it is oxidatively cleaved, it gives you two molecules of retinal, and this is the form of vitamin A which is present in the plant foods, and it has this inefficient activity which is very less as compared to retinol. So they've showed you the 11-cis retinal. Further, we'll talk about the trans form of retinal also in the visual cycle. So the dietary sources. The dietary sources are divided into two parts. That is the animal sources and then the plant sources. The animal sources are liver oil, butter, milk, cheese, egg yolk. The plant sources in the form of provitamin carotene, we have tomatoes, carrots, green yellow vegetables, spinach, and fruits such as mangoes, papayas, corn, sweet potatoes, etc. So these are the sources that from where we can get vitamin A in the body. The recommended dietary allowance. So the recommended dietary allowance for adults is 900 retinol activity equivalents, which is the unit for vitamin A for males, and 700 RAE for females. They've also given you a comparison that one retinol activity equivalent is equal to 1 milligram of retinol. Okay. So, the intestinal absorption and storage. I will show you the whole thing in the diagram, that how when you take an animal diet or when you take a plant diet, how it is absorbed by the intestinal cell and how it is sent to the liver for storage. I think we'll first see the diagram and then we'll come to this thing. Okay. Now, this is the larger picture. Okay, this is the whole picture which I have cut into two things so that it gets enlarged and you can see it clearer. So I'll start from here. If you eat an animal diet, okay, this you are gonna eat in an animal diet. We told you that it has retinyl esters in it. So diet is hydrolyzed. This is the intestinal lumen. Okay, this is the villi and these are the cell. These are the intestinal cell. So you ate an animal diet. You ate egg, liver, or yolk, and it is hydrolyzed to. It hydrolyzes vitamin A from there, and that is retinyl ester in the retinyl ester form. Now this mucosal surface, this intestinal surface, does not allow fatty acid to go inside. Okay, so what happens, this retinyl ester takes away, it is hydrolyzed into fatty acid and retinol. Fatty acid remains in the lumen and the retinol is absorbed into the intestinal cell. And when it is absorbed into the intestinal cell, it takes a fatty acid group which is already present inside the intestinal cell to become retinyl ester again. Okay, so retinol usually doesn't like to stay alone, so it is always looking for a friend, that is a fatty acid friend, and it esterifies with it and then it becomes a retinyl ester. Okay, so now this retinyl ester is then taken up by the chylomicrons. Okay, chylomicrons are like buses. Okay, they take up this retinyl ester and in the lymph and blood, and they transport it to the liver where it is stored in the form of all trans retinol. Okay, so here it is stored in the form of all trans retinol, right? Now, this we talked about the animal diet. Okay, now we're going to talk about the plant diet. You took a plant diet, it has beta carotene. Okay, now beta carotene is directly absorbed from the lumen into the intestinal cell. We said that it is made up of retinal, so it is hydrolyzed to retinal. Then retinal is reduced to retinol. Retinol takes a fatty acid from the cell and becomes a retinyl ester. It is again taken up by the chylomicrons and taken up to the liver for storage. So this is actually the absorption, transport and storage of vitamin A. Okay, now we go to the text and so that it is all clear. Retinyl esters present in the diet are hydrolyzed in the intestinal mucosa, releasing retinol and free fatty acids. Retinol derived from esters and from the cleavage and reduction of carotenes is re-esterified to long chain fatty acids in the intestinal mucosa and secreted as a component of chylomicrons into the lymphatic system. Retinyl esters contained in chylomicron remnants are taken up by and stored in the liver. So this is how I told you. And when needed, अब यहाँ पे we will be talking about how the when it is needed in the body, from where we get it. We already know that we are storing it in the liver. So we'll get it from the liver, and how it is transported to the extrahepatic tissue, where what all happens. That is actually the mechanism of action of vitamin A, how vitamin A goes to the extrahepatic tissues and works there. Okay, I'll go to the here. See, now whenever there is a need in any extrahepatic tissue of vitamin A, this vitamin A comes out of the liver in retinol, okay, and it binds to a retinol binding protein. Okay, I told you retinol doesn't want to stay alone. So retinol binds to a retinol binding protein. Okay, this is a complex that is made of retinol with retinol binding protein. This retinol with retinol binding protein goes to the extrahepatic tissue. Okay, the retinol binding protein, it just acts like a transporter. It takes it to the extrahepatic tissue. It itself detaches from it, and retinol is sent inside the cell. This retinol is oxidized in the into retinoic acid, and this retinoic acid goes into the nucleus. Okay, then it goes and attaches to the response elements on DNA, and there is gene transcription. We have messenger RNA made, and after that we have translation specific proteins made, and ultimately cellular differentiation takes place, and vitamin A gives its role in reepithelialization or in promotion of growth and development. Okay, so this is actually the mechanism of action of vitamin A. Okay, this is function. This is you when they ask you about functions also, this comes into functions also. You can explain it into the functions section also, but this is actually the mechanism of action also. Okay, so we'll read it in the text how it says. When needed, retinol is released from the liver and transported to extrahepatic tissues by the plasma retinol binding protein. The retinol and the binding protein complex binds to a transport protein on the surface of the cells of peripheral tissue, permitting retinol to enter. Many tissues contain a cellular retinol binding protein that carries retinol to sites in the nucleus where the vitamin acts in the manner analogous to that of steroid hormones that I already explained to you. Okay. Now, this is another diagram that is showing the whole thing. Okay, that is present in your book, and how it comes inside and how it is oxidized to retinoic acid, and how this retinoic acid goes into the cell and into the nucleus, and how gene transcription takes place and translation takes place, and how specific proteins are made and cellular differentiation is taking place. Okay. So, the second function, the function of vitamin A, which is very important, is the role in vision. Okay, it is also known as Wald's visual cycle or rhodopsin cycle. Okay, first of all, we need to know that vitamin A is a component of the visual pigments of rods and cone cell that are present in the eye. Now, rhodopsin, which is the visual pigment of the rod cells in the retina, it consists of 11-cis retinal, which is specifically bound to the protein opsin. Okay. Now, when rhodopsin is exposed to light, a series of photochemical reactions, isomerizations takes place, which results in the bleaching of the visual pigment, and this cis-retinal is changed to trans-retinal and opsin is separated from it. Okay. This is actually the main step. Okay. The other steps that are taking place is for the regeneration of 11 cis retinal. Okay. This process triggers a nerve impulse that is transmitted by the optic nerve to the brain. So, regeneration of rhodopsin requires isomerization of all trans retinal back to 11 cis retinal. I am going to show it in the diagram. Okay. Now, all trans retinal after being released from rhodopsin is first reduced to all trans retinol, then it is esterified and isomerized to 11 cis retinol, and then it is oxidized to 11 cis retinal. The latter, this is the 11 cis retinal, it combines with opsin to make rhodopsin, thus completing the whole visual cycle. Okay, and similar reactions are responsible for color vision in the cone cells also. So, I am going to go to the diagram here. See, you start from here. Okay, 11 cis retinal combines with opsin to give you rhodopsin. Light falls, opsin is separated, and this 11 cis retinal is converted to all trans retinal. Okay. Now, to regenerate 11 cis retinal, we reduce all trans retinal to all trans retinol. Then this all trans retinol is esterified to all trans retinal esters. Then there is a series of isomerization that takes place, which gives you 11 cis retinol. We don't need 11 cis retinol, we need 11 cis retinal. So, we oxidize 11 cis retinol to 11 cis retinal, which is ready to combine with opsin to make rhodopsin and thus complete the whole visual cycle or Wald's cycle. So, this is the role of vitamin A in your vision. Okay. Now, this is another diagram that is present in your book. This shows how opsin combines with cis-retinine, which is 11 cis-retinal, and forms rhodopsin. When light falls, there is a series of isomerization that takes place, and it is giving you photorhodopsin, beta-rhodopsin, lumirhodopsin, metarhodopsin, and ultimately metarhodopsin 1, 2, and 3. And then you have all trans retinine, that is all trans retinal plus opsin. Now this becomes inactive, all trans retinal is inactive. So, retinine reductase will act on it and convert it into trans retinol. Okay. Now, this trans retinal converted into trans retinol is then isomerized to cis retinol. Now, this cis retinol is then oxidized to cis retinal by using the enzyme retinol dehydrogenase. So, you can draw that cycle, you can draw this cycle. It's just the understanding that matters, that how you understood the visual cycle. Okay. Now, the second function is maintenance of epithelial cells. So, vitamin, I already told you that it is used for the maintenance of epithelial cell. Vitamin A is essential for normal differentiation of epithelial tissues and mucus secretion, and thus supports the body's barrier based defense against pathogens. So, it acts as a barrier based on defense against pathogens. The third function is reproduction. Retinol and retinal are essential for normal reproduction, supporting spermatogenesis in the male and preventing fetal resorption in the female. So they have a role in reproduction. And then retinoic acid is inactive in maintaining reproduction and in visual cycle, but it promotes growth and differentiation of epithelial cells. I'll show you a flow chart so that this becomes more clear. I would like to show you this chart. Okay. Now here it clearly shows that retinoic acid, your retinoic acid can help in promotion of growth, differentiation and maintenance of epithelial tissue and gene expression. But retinal, retinol and retinyl esters, they can do all these functions, which I'm like, if there are 4 functions, 2 of them can be done by retinoic acid, but 4 of them can be done by retinal, retinol and retinyl esters. That is maintenance of reproduction, maintenance of vision, promotion of growth and differentiation and maintenance of epithelial tissue gene expression. So these are the functions of vitamin A. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the deficiency diseases that are caused by vitamin A. Okay, the vitamin A deficiency diseases. The first foremost deficiency is night blindness. Okay, this is the earliest signs of vitamin A deficiency. And the condition is most commonly seen in children in developing tropical countries, and over 500,000 children worldwide are blinded each year by vitamin A deficiency. And the first foremost sign might be xerophthalmia. Okay, we'll talk about xerophthalmia. The visual in night blindness, the visual threshold is increased, making it difficult to see in dim light. Now, prolonged deficiency leads to an irreversible loss in the number of visual cells, and thus the patient is initially it has this night blindness, and then it gets into like the lacrimal glands. They have this dryness of conjunctiva and cornea, and this condition is known as xerophthalmia. Okay. Now, because of this xerophthalmia, there is no fluid inside. Cornea starts like having this opaque spots, which are also known as Bitot spots. These appear in conjunctiva on either side of the eye. Okay, and corneal epithelium becomes keratinized, opaque, and may become softened and ulcerated. Condition described as keratomalacia. Okay. One more thing. Now, xerophthalmia is actually the dryness of the conjunctiva, and there are spots appearing. And then there's corneal epithelium, which becomes keratinized and opaque and ultimately softened. This whole condition is known as keratomalacia. In the skin becomes dry, scaly, and rough because of keratinization. Okay. Now, in respiratory tract, keratinization occurring in the mucous membrane of the respiratory tract, that leads to increased susceptibility to infection and lowered resistance to disease. So, the patients with vitamin A might have this continued respiratory infections, and they might have a history of repeated respiratory infections. Urinary tract, the keratinization of urinary tract leads to calculi formation, and to treat this patient, vitamin A might be administered as retinol or retinyl ester. Okay. So, acne and psoriasis, dermatologic conditions such as the psoriasis and acne are effectively treated with retinoic acid or its derivatives. Mild case of acne or diarrheal disease, that is keratosis follicularis, and skin aging are treated with topical application of tretinoin, that is all trans retinoic acid, as well as benzoyl peroxide and antibiotics. This tretinoin is too toxic for systemic administration and is confined to topical application only. Okay. In patients with severe cystic acne unresponsive to this conventional therapies, the drug of choice is isotretinoin, that is 13-cis retinoic acid, which can be administered orally. Now, this retinoic acid is also used in the treatment of acute promyelocytic leukemia. One thing about this isotretinoin is that this drug is teratogenic. It can be harmful for the fetus in a pregnant lady. So, before you start the treatment for acne in a patient, in a young female patient, you would ask her about her marital status and whether she's pregnant, whether she's planning to get pregnant, because you have to tell her that during the 6 months of the treatment period she cannot get pregnant, and if she gets pregnant, how the fetus can be harmed by this drug. So here the whole thing, the functions I already told you, and here they are telling you how this all trans retinoic acid is used in the treatment of psoriasis, in the treatment of promyelocytic leukemia, and this 13-cis retinoic acid, which is isotretinoin, it can be used in the treatment of severe acne. That was all about the deficiency of vitamin A. Now, hypervitaminosis A, that means excessive intake of vitamin A, that is amount exceeding 7.5 milligram per day. Early signs of chronic hypervitaminosis A is skin is dry and pruritic because of decreased keratin synthesis, enlarged cirrhotic liver, hepatomegaly, then continues, then shrinkage of liver. Okay, initially it gets enlarged, then it gets it starts shrinking. So that is enlarged cirrhotic liver. In CNS, there is rise in intracranial pressure, and that thing may mimic the symptoms of a brain tumor, like they may have this headache, they may have this vertigo, and continuous palpation of the vein. So these are some symptoms that are present in a patient who has an intracranial pressure which has risen to a particular number, and these are the symptoms that are also present in a patient who has a brain tumor. And I already told you that pregnant women, they cannot ingest excessive quantities of vitamin A because that is teratogenic. Okay. So here I have a scenario. First of all, I'll show you that some pictures. See here. This is how Bitot spots are appearing. Okay. Then this is showing how there is keratomalacia. Okay. Softening of epithelium and opacity is appearing, and ultimately blindness. This is follicular hyperkeratosis, which is due to vitamin A deficiency. It resembles goose flesh, right? And if how you can just distinguish it from goose flesh, because if you have this goosebumps, or you just rub your your arm or wherever they are, they just disappear. But because of vitamin A deficiency, whatever the goose flesh type appearance you get, it cannot be removed. And now we'll go to the there is a 75-year-old man which presents to your evening clinic complaining of worsening night vision. Okay, one thing that you got is night vision is he is like having this night blindness. Medical history is significant for constipation, for which he uses mineral oil laxative, and he notes that he has suffered from at least 3 bouts of common cold over the past 4 months. So he's taking oil laxatives. That means he can have a fat soluble vitamin deficiency, because oil laxatives will not allow that vitamin to be absorbed in the body. And then he has this recurrent infections, respiratory tract infection. Physical examination reveals scattered white patches in his conjunctiva, as well as 2 poorly healed cuts on his left hand, which he states occurred 2 weeks ago while cutting vegetables. You assure this man that his night blindness will likely improve with treatment and recommend that he seek alternative therapy for his constipation. So, actually, the healing process needs reepithelialization and all. So, vitamin A deficiency is not doing that also. So, the whole thing, the whole scenario tells you that this is vitamin A deficiency. You'll remove him off from the oil laxatives. You can give him other drugs for constipation, and ultimately you can treat him with vitamin A, and his things will start getting right. So, this is all about vitamin A today. The next lecture that we'll have is of vitamin D. We'll talk about the second most important vitamin, fat soluble vitamin, which is vitamin D. Thank you very much.